Super Tutor, transforming one life at a time.
Now, everything we'd been through with James, including there's also doctors and specialists and medication and OT and speech therapy and play therapy. I mean, we were totally broke. I'd done edu-blocks, I'd done those special eye training that you do at the doctors to help with the optometrist to help with the scanning. If there was something out there, I've done it and it didn't work. But I know that in my child I was dealing with possibly the worst level of dyslexia you could deal with. Totally illiterate. He couldn't write. His early pre-writing developed, but it never went further than that. He was now 8 and he was not reading at all, nothing. He would write his name, but very badly, sometimes backwards. The letter formation was mirrored. It was very poor, but that was basically the only word he could recognize and write. Even familiar names, my name, mom, dad, there was nothing.
Previously, I didn't know how to read. I had a major block of reading. I forgot what it's called, but I managed to break through thanks to the Davis program.
And I did the 4-day Davis program in Kommetjie. But again, a part of me was saying, this must just be too good to be true because, been there, done that. But another half thinking, what if it really is what it says it is? So February 2015, James did what was supposed to be 5 days, but ended up being 10. By day 3, I suddenly saw a change in my child. And he was recognizing his alphabet, which was a huge thing. He would one day see an A as an A, and then he'd think it's an E, and then an E. He didn't know. Where suddenly he knew A, B, C, D. And I could point to it out of sequence, so it wasn't that he'd parroted it. Even backwards, he'd come to grips with his alphabet, which was a massive, massive step. I knew that because of the degree of his dyslexia, he was not going to do 5 days and suddenly pick up a novel and be comfortable with reading. It's where you see miracles really happen, and I've seen it with children that have done it since with Val, and I've seen the difference in the classroom thing. And now my husband, he noticed the change in James instantly. Don't get me wrong, James is still not picking up books and reading confidently, but I think a lot has got to do with the emotional walls that were put up in his early days.
But now I'm reading Charlotte's Web.
He is reading from his school reader, which is Charlotte's Web, so it's not a grade 1 reader. But yes, he has to practice the page over and over, but once he's practiced it a few times, he will read it. He types perfectly. He now WhatsApps family members, and they can understand what he's saying.
And I was at my laptop and he said, "Granny, please can you type something for me, because I want to tell a story." And the story about the lion and the penguin came up, and I think it was basically just to explain how he felt isolated and alone and nobody wanted to be his friend.
A Lion of the Penguin is about one lion and one penguin. They didn't have any friends and they found each other and they made friends.
I would find reams of things in his school books that he would do if he had free time at school. He'd be sitting writing pages and pages and pages, almost like he didn't know when to stop, which is a great thing.
His autism traits were just, I try to think of the word, he just found himself. He found that he was a unique individual human being, and he was different, but that's okay. And he could start to see other people's points of view a little clearer.
Before, a lot of people used to think he was this horrible child who just had tantrums all the time. Once Nicola had walked this mile, or 10 miles, and found the help that she got from you and the Davis program, everything just seemed to change. It just seemed to fall into place.
Where you are dealing with the most dyslexic that you can deal with, I think what we've achieved in not even 18 months has been remarkable. And I don't believe that any of this would have happened if we had not done those 10 days. I think those 10 days made all the difference between us being where we are and the success that we're experiencing now, and how James is just flourishing as a little individual and feeling worthwhile and not feeling stupid. And that's also where I've been so fortunate, because we've realized going through this how dyslexic and also autistic my husband is, and how unfairly life treated him back in the 70s and 80s when he was schooled because of people's lack of understanding. I've seen his matric certificate. It was like F's, G's and F's. He was just basically thrown aside as the stupid one. In fact, his IQ test that came out of the woodwork years later is 142. And me working in a gifted school, I know that that is beyond what is considered normal gifted. That is exceptional. But in the school system, he was the dunce. The worst is behind me. It's now my turn, and I reach back and sort of help people across that void. But yeah, you can get there.
Gifted Dyslexic. Learning made easy. www.gifteddyslexic.com